Hello.
Hello.
A lot of different faces. Hello, first one with a video. Hello, Mr. Burkhardt. You're still muted, but
Hello.
hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you. Hello.
We give the other attendants a couple of minutes, 1 to 2. Hello, even more people, almost 20. Great.
I would say we start.
Yeah, good. Stage is yours, Peter.
I'm Peter Hartmann, VP Retail Concepts and Retail Solutions for Wanzl Germany. And I confess, I'm also a shopaholic. But don't worry, I'm not here today to plan my next shopping trip with you. Although I must admit that I can hardly walk past a new shop concept without looking inside. I'm the type who seeks out the latest retail hotspot in every city. Not because I want to spend my money hand over fist, but because I'm fascinated by the magic of the moment when a shop does more than just sell products, but creates memorable experiences. And yes, I'm also the person who loves to buy fresh food every single day, sometimes even twice a day. I don't just follow my whims, but also my nose, my eyes, and my palate. I may not be an impulse shopper, but I do live for the consciously noticing all those little details that make shopping such an exceptional experience. That's exactly why we're here today. In our webinar series, we delve into the world of current trends, analyze what's driving retail today, and explore how we can turn customers into real fans. It's all about customer experience and emotions in retail, but it's also about your view of all of this. Your feedback is worth its weight in gold, and we look forward to a lively exchange with you. We are recording this event and hope for your consent. Please be so kind to mute your microphone, and it would be wonderful if you could switch on your camera. Please do feel free to send us questions in the chat, which we will be happy to answer during or after the event. We will also share this presentation as a PDF file afterwards. Today, we start with our first webinar of this series, and I have now the great pleasure of introducing my esteemed colleague, Dr. Claudia Armbruster. She's about to share her impressive expertise and insights with us. So sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for an inspiring journey through the next 70 to 80 minutes. Let's go, and don't forget to enjoy shopping. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. And warmly welcome also from me. My name is Claudia Armbruster, and I'm the Vice President of Innovation of the Wanzl Group. We did this webinar yesterday in German, and today is the first of its kind in English. So I'm not a native speaker. When I do pronunciate some of the words, not exactly like a native would do it, please be kind to me. I give my best to show you everything in a proper English. Yesterday, we had round about 95% of the participants in German. And today, I'm really curious where you come from. And so it would be great when you could just type in the chat where you are sitting or in which country you are sitting at the moment. That would kind of, be really interesting for me. And as Peter said, you can type in the chat whatever you want during the whole presentation. And now we start. And as said, it's the first time that I do it in English. It's the first time for Wanzl that we invite people for the Wanzl Retail Experts. And I'm incredibly happy to see that so many participants are here today. And that makes me also a bit nervous. And that's why I choose this picture. I feel a little bit like a chef in a restaurant who tries a new dish or menu for the first time and hopes to delight the customers with a taste explosion. And of course, today it's not about food or gastronomy. It's about retail and what's happening out there and what inspires us at Wanzl and what inspires you as well. But first, for everyone here in the virtual space, welcome to Wanzl. When you would visit us in Leipheim, close to Ulm in Germany, we would probably have given you a little inside tour in our world, in our creative center. That's not possible in this virtual setup, but one slide on Wanzl and who we are in figures. We have 4,600 employees worldwide. We have 11 production sites in 7 countries, 27 international sales offices, and approximately 50 international representatives. Wanzl stands for hardware, software, service and consulting, design and concepts in the areas of retail, that's our major topic, and then also material handling, airport access, and hotel. Before we start and to manage your expectations, why are we here? Why are we presenting Wanzl Retail Experts? It's about inspiration. It's really important for me to communicate early on what is at stake today and what's not. And this session is intended to inspire, stimulate, give you kind of food for thought, thinking outside the box. We want to present highlights of the Wanzl team, highlights that we find in the market, and it's about envisioning the future. And it's not about our Wanzl products. The last slide was the only one where you see a Wanzl product. It's not about tangible solution that we sell. It's not about selling or self-marketing. It's about, as said, envisioning the future and not opportunities today. And for the preparation, we used a wide variety of resources and sources as basis for our inspiration. We visited this year the Eurosys, it's a tech show in Germany, the China shop in China, the NRF Retail Big Show in New York. And also we always look at trend reports, at startups, at the investment world. And of course, we also sometimes conduct our own studies. So the one of you or those of you who looked at my CV in advance, you might think, okay, Mrs. Armbruster is not a retail expert at all. But I think retail is a huge category and a huge area. And I want to introduce me as a person before we start with the content. The guy on the left-hand side was my early inspiration in tech. It's the inventor of the mouse that we use on our computers on every day. It's Douglas Engelbart. And I wrote my thesis in psychology about ergonomics and software in the use of computers. Then later on, I was dealing with human-computer interaction. So always kind of the interaction between a human being and technical things. Wrote a thesis about virtual reality. And then I worked at a third-party provider for a lot of different companies during my career as a consultant and as a product manager in the digital world. With an agency, I launched one of the first German food delivery services in 2012. And when I prepared myself for this talk, I was like, oh, wow, it is 12 years ago. And still, when you look at the German ecosystem, food delivery is still not conquering the whole market. So we see that innovation takes a long time. And I also have my experience in the fashion sector. I think one of my preferred or beloved projects was helping the Holy Fashion Group from Switzerland to bring their flagship stores online. And I was responsible for Joop, Streelson and Windsor in those days. And I also worked for really expensive products like Bottega Veneta, Balenciaga, and also here in the online shopping world. And of course, when we look at the online shopping or at the product world, retail is from selling a yogurt to selling a really expensive purse. And in digital and in the real world, of course, the presentation of a yogurt for a couple of cents has different requirements to the presentation of a handbag for over 6,000 euros. So all those experiences feed into what I would like to present today and what we created with the team. But first, for me, it's quite important when I talk about innovation that we have a common understanding what we mean with innovation. And it's really important for me that we don't confuse innovation with invention, because invention is something new that is a great thing, but most of the time it does not earn any money. And with innovation, we always strive for economic impact and an economic implementation. And so my beloved quote from Josef Schumpeter, it's an Austrian economist. He said, an innovation is the successful implementation of a technical or organizational innovation, not just its invention. And for me, that's true. And some of the things I show you today are close to become an innovation. Some are already in the market and earn money. But I think it's really important that we all strive for things that solve problems and earn money. When we are looking at the market and when we are looking at market trends, in 2024, we are addressing, or we at Wanzl are looking at 4 different categories. We have technology trends, we have economic trends, we have consumer trends and regulatory trends, and a lot of subcategories. So I can assure you I won't talk about each and every category today, because then the webinar would probably take 3 or 4 hours. I will pick only some of those categories, but before we start, it would be really interesting when you look at this slide, what is really something that is close to your heart, that you are interested in. And when you would do me a favor, feel free to write the answer in the chat. That gives us also a feeling about what you are interested in and how we can also shape the webinar in the future. So we will have a look at it, and I will continue with the topics that I will present today. I will talk about a lot of tech things because I'm a really tech nerd, always in relation to the retail space. And I hope I picked some topics that you never heard about and that will inspire you. And we had a look at a lot of topics internally. And for today, I picked 4 different ones: automation, robotics, and digitization. And when we look in the economic sector, I will talk about the service economy. I pause here for a second. If anybody has a question, unmute yourself and talk to me. You don't have to, but you have the chance now, because otherwise I would just continue. I don't hear anybody. Okay, so I will start. Automation and robotics. Why is these domains so interesting for us? We want to be faster and more efficient, and that's why we push as humanity for automation, robotics, and digitization. Often all those topics are lumped together, and basically that's okay because they are clearly related to each other, or you could say at least related by marriage. And especially the term automation is interesting because it refers to the transfer of process function and entire process sequences from humans to technical systems. For this purpose, it is usually not sufficient that the necessary documents available digitally, but it is, of course, a prerequisite because you can only automate when you have all the data. And that means that human labor is being replaced by machines. And when those machines are even more sophisticated, it's replaced by robots. And I will show you some examples here. And just one fact or one interesting thing, when I would ask you, when did human mankind started to think about automation? It's not an invention of modern times. The term is already known in ancient Greek. They paid homage to the goddess Automatia, which stands for the one who comes by herself in the meaning of self-acting. And I really love it because it's a female goddess and she is kind of the name giver of a really interesting field today. When we look at today, as said, and facts and figures, and I will present you a lot of facts and figures. According to McKinsey, automation and artificial intelligence will impact millions of jobs in the coming years, and retail is one of the most vulnerable industries. They say 54% of current retail work can be automated. I would say that that's a huge number, and I'm not sure if that really will kind of hit the nail in the future, but it is estimated that by 2030, retail could leverage 35% of automation potential, leading to a displacement or a freeing up of approximately 6 million full-time workers. And of course, that gives us a lot of leverage. And as said, automation and robots, how do they look like today and what are they able of? And this is probably one of the most famous robots nowadays. His name is Atlas. I don't know if it's a male or female, I just realized, but it's a Boston Dynamic robot, and those humanoid robots are highly developed machines, more precise than robots in the past, and they can do and act like a human being. They can walk and run and hop on one leg. And I put it on again. They can sign language, they can trade trolleys, they can receive trays, they can catch balls and throw balls. And to be honest, I do yoga in my free time. I'm not as flexible as this little guy. And so we see there is a lot of potential in those automation and intelligent robots. Now, you could ask me, how much can we really automate on the sales floor? And is there a feasibility, and do we really expect proper return on investment? And as said, numbers most of the time don't lie. When we look at the robot market and combine the robots with artificial intelligence, they will make a difference. When you look at the numbers, it's extremely exciting. In 2024, estimated sales in the robotic market are expected to reach about 40 billions this year. 40 billions in euro expected for robots. And when we only look 4 years ahead, we have numbers that exceed for the whole robotic market of 60 billion. And you see 2 lines here, and I think that's extremely interesting. The industrial robots, for example, that put kind of screws in machines or put rooftops on cars, there is a stable market volume. And for those smart service robots, there is an estimation of a tremendous growth. And I think that's really, really interesting. And that is a sign of we will see a lot of robots in the next years, from my point of view. When I started to do the research, I started at the back end of the retail ecosystem because I visited a German grocery delivery company 2 weeks ago, and they had AutoStore as a warehouse robot solution, and I was really impressed how far advanced and sophisticated those solutions are. And suppliers like AutoStore or Exotec are developing highly innovative warehouse concepts. Of course, there are significant or interesting for e-commerce because they facilitate loading and picking, and those robots are going around and fulfill a lot of tasks that in the past human beings had to do. But my question would be, how can brick and mortar retailers automate their small warehouses? And I think there will be solutions in the future that will be feasible of helping us in small areas as well. And when you look at this example, it's a Carrefour warehouse. It's the Exotec example. It's like an ant swarm. It's highly efficient. It's robots working together with humans, robots bringing the goods. They have extremely smart storage. The buildings are built kind of to fulfill the needs and to be efficient and high speed in delivery. And here we see, from my point of view, a great combination that is already in the market, where humans and robots work together to make retail more efficient. And when we look at the next example, and it's still behind the scenes, and it depends always on the market, so I can't see all the participants, but you could raise your hand or give us a thumb up in the chat. Who of you or which market has deposits for empty bottles? That would be interesting. Yeah, I see Becker Andreas. Okay, Becker Andreas sounds like a German name. That's great. Unfortunately, Teams is not Linda Tanzer as well. Yeah, Teams is not as good in showing me the details of the chat and my slides. But sorting empty bottles has never been easier than with this robot. And I can tell you a story. I was doing apprenticeship in a Edeka last year. That's a retail store in Germany, a grocery shop. And one afternoon, I had to sort bottles in a little room, and it's really work that comes from hell. And so This is a robot. It's really fresh in the market. Kirontech, German company, showed it at a trade fair a month ago, and it automates the sorting and the accuracy, and especially kind of this dirty work is completely given to a robot, and it looks like this. And as said, for me, it's a really fascinating solution. You have the robot in the room. This room is not smelling really nice. As a human being, you don't want to touch those bottles. When I was working there, I always thought, oh my God, they put the mouth at the bottle and now I have to touch it. So I asked for gloves, yeah, but it's yucky, yeah. It's not nice or anything. It's just dirty, yucky work. And this Kirontech robot does it all by itself. It solves a huge pain point. Combined with computer vision, it makes sorting even smart. So the robot knows these are empty bottles, these are full bottles. And so it's a completely game changer for a really small part in retail, but I think it makes a huge difference. So you see, I'm a fangirl of this solution. And now I would like to show you my last robot example. And here we have robots that help customers in the shop. You see here Rob. It's a friendly robot in a grocery shop. Rob is available to the customer and is a valuable addition to the floor team. He assists the customers in locating products. It, of course, is always in good spirit. It's never grumpy. And you can interact with it with a touchpad and voice command. I have to say, of course, this is an experiment. And when you look at the debates and the discussions of experts, there are pros and cons when it comes to a solution like that. Some say it's just a gimmick. Some say we can really add value with solutions like that. And when we remember the numbers I showed you, we will see how many robots in the next 5 years will accompany us and how satisfied we will be with this machine interaction. And I will end my robot part with Spot. You can see Spot on the left and the right side, but the original Spot is on the right side. It's also a Boston Dynamic robot. Looks like a dog, and it's applicable in mining as watchdogs for surveillance, for really also nasty work. For example, in Germany, we had a fire disaster 2 years ago, and they had a Spot to kind of crawl the buildings that were not safe for humans. And on the left-hand side, you also see Spot, but it's kind of disgusted as a real dog. And when you look at this really short video, this is doggish. It feels like emotions. It feels like you could fall in love with the blue dog. And so I think robotics, huge field, and I think we will see a lot of great examples in the future. Of course, in retail, probably no dogs, but robots, from my point of view, are a thing that we cannot ignore in the next 5 to 10 years. In terms, so I pause here for a second, and I know most of the people don't want to talk to me when I give my presentations, but you get the chance to talk or to ask a question. Nobody? Good. Then I will continue with 2 examples or 3 examples, I'm lying, from the digital space. And of course, digitalization is also progressing incredibly fast. we have digital labels, we have RFID technology, we have digital vouchers, we have apps, we have digital payment, we have loyalty cards in apps and everything. And I think digitization adds value in really various dimensions. And one example that I really like is digitization of the workforce. And here we have an example from Douglas. It's a perfumery and it's about all things beauty. And here, the more digital the employee is, the better, of course, can the service be. And they have created a new shopping experience together with 2 partners. And they leverage now smartphones in the shops and can enhance the service tremendously. And pictures are telling better stories than I can do. When we look at this video, and I will stop it in the middle and you can have a look at it at YouTube later on, you see how they implemented it in the shop. You have the workforce, they have the phones in their hands or around their necks. They can scan the cards wherever and whenever the customer needs it. They are the cashier, so they can customers can pay on the phone. And of course, when customers have additional questions, when it comes to ingredients or allergies, they can get the information on the phone and also increase the level of consulting that is possible in the shop. So I think that's a really great example. And one step further, when we look at technology from the private world, there is C-Watch, and they, from my point of view, took it one step ahead because they don't use the smartphone, they use a smart watch, a wearable to support communication and the management of daily tasks. The employees can talk to each other, they can individually talk to other colleagues. They can enable with this solution a seamless customer service. And in contrast to the phone, of course, the employees have always free hands. And when I see examples like that, I always ask myself, how can we establish win-win solutions that really help employees and customers? And how it looks at Decathlon, you can see here. I just have to switch off the tone. Yeah, there is a customer having a question. She's not sure. She can ask in the warehouse if the product is still available, and the guy can answer. And it's seamless, it's easy, and the customer service is at a next level. Last digital example for today, and now we leave the workforce behind and we look at the consulting and the assistance of shoppers. And here we have AI and AR solutions, so artificial intelligence and augmented reality solutions, where you can try on in the store and at home. As said, I wrote my thesis about virtual reality, and 20 years ago, we were already talking about solutions like that. And then it took ages until they really came to the market. And here we have 2 examples. One is Son of a Tailor. They offer a mirror that assists you with discovering the ideal product and also finding your ideal size. I think that's really appealing, at least for me, because what they established by using this mirror, that they extended their size availability from 6 sizes, ranging from XS to XXL to 24 sizes that they crafted based on the data that they got from the mirror. And I think that's a really win-win solution also for the brand and the customer. And then I don't know if you were shopping eyeglasses in the last couple of months or years. Almost each and every eyewear company has virtual try-ons on their websites nowadays. And I think what we need to look at is what opportunities do artificial intelligence and augmented reality offer to us. And I think there is way more than a mirror and a virtual try-on, but I think it's a really nice example for how retail will grow and expand in the next years. I pause for a second and take a sip of water. Technology trends, and you see I'm a really tech enthusiastic woman, and I promise this is the first webinar. In the next webinar, there will be more also about shop fitting and design. But today I would like to take you on another journey in the service economy. And service economy is nothing new. I called the chapter Things as a Service, because as a service is omnipresent nowadays. And when we discussed the topic in the team, we started with food as a service. And I thought, and I still think, is a really exciting and mind-blowing train of thought. And I was inspired by a conversation with a colleague from the industry to think even further than what could be a delivery service be. Because he said to me, basically, I don't care how the food gets into my fridge. The main thing I care about is that the food is there. Here, of course, one can go one step further, I thought. Basically, I don't care how the food gets on my plate. The main thing is that it's there. And then we would be in the middle. And there are additive manufacturing and 3D printing solutions. I don't know if this fulfills our requirements today when we look at attractive food, but food could come from a printer in the future, or in the extreme. And here I had a discussion with Peter, because Peter loves to shop. I'm the opposite. I don't want to shop. Yeah, I really don't care about shopping. And I thought, basically, it doesn't matter how I get my carbohydrates, my proteins, and my fats. When I have a syringe at the evening and all the stuff comes in my body and I'm perfectly nutritioned, that's it. Great. And here you see the possibilities that the future could offer us, but that is now clearly too far away in the future. And I said, topic is as a service. And when you look at this slide, we look at services and the service economy. And when you read through, probably a lot of those buzzwords or topics are familiar. And the service economy established itself in the late 70s. So it's a long time ago. But then in the 2000s, with the spread of cloud computing, the term software as a service quickly became established. And this as a service became a major theme in many, many industries. And the beauty, especially for the software, was that you were not forced to buy a software. You can just subscribe it. And so we had this huge shift from CapEx to OpEx. You can upload new features. You can reload whenever you want. You can bug fix. And so this as a service, and especially this, I don't have to invest in a thing, I just rent it or subscribe it, became even more attractive to a lot of dimensions. And at Wanzl, for example, we are working on a concept that's called trolley as a service or cart as a service, where the idea would be that you don't have to buy a steel trolley, you just get it and pay for having it and not pay for the thing itself. And I think probably all of you are familiar with payment as a service. When we look at PayPal, e-commerce as a service, it's everything what Amazon is offering, and fulfillment as a service, and many more dimensions. And I think basically as a service describes that the corresponding area is offered as a service. But why is this so extremely successful and extremely important for us? And I was thinking about it, and the term as a service shows us that a lot is offered that humanity does not want to do anymore. We don't want to queue. We don't want to drive to the supermarket. My example, we don't want to cook by ourselves. We don't want to do things. And that's why we appreciate all kinds of services. And on top, we want everything as quick as possible, and we want everything around the clock. And these are just a few examples. I want my products as soon as possible. I don't want to think about buying, kind of rebuying stuff. I want to eat and consume wherever it suits me best. I want to shop mindfully. I want. And the service behind it is that what we can sell. And today I would want to start with, I want my products as soon as possible, and the topic of same-day delivery. I think it's an overarching theme. No matter in which country we look, we have forgotten how to wait. My grandma always said to me, patience is a virtue. And I was like, okay, I don't believe you. And I was always a really impatient kid. But if you look at the world today, many of us don't have any patience for anything anymore. And I don't exempt myself from that. I expect 24/7 availabilities for a lot of things. Not only my favorite show on Netflix. I want to go out there and buy a salad at night. I want to go out there and get my medicine whenever I want. And this is changing, and expectations are changing, and speed is king. And when I order something, I expect to get it latest tomorrow. And I'm really confused or kind of irritated when it takes longer. So what would be the solution in the future? And I picked drones, again, a really techie topic. And you could again ask, like with the robots, are they coming or not? And to be honest, I thought, drones are far away, but there are clear signs in the world, in the facts, figures, and data, that the drone industry is booming. And here, some facts and figures. We have almost 2 million drones in the United States. We have a global drone market that is anticipated next year to be 42 billion. We have a CAGR, an annual growth component, that is higher than 2%. We have a consumer drone market share of over 70%. Of course, that's a little bit sports and leisure. But when we look at the United States, we have or had 51,000 commercial drones in operation. That means they are flying around and doing things for us. And one really impressive figure, I think, is that over 30% of delivery companies are planning to adopt drone delivery by 2030. So in 6 years. That's not far away. And me in my German bubble, I was impressed, I have to say. And then I looked at the different markets and a little bit the history. And same-day delivery means not same day in the future. It means in the next 10 minutes. And all over the world, drone delivery is tested. If we think back to 2016, where Prime Air, and of course it was Amazon who delivered the first package, delivered with the drone for the first time to a rural area, I think in UK. And in Zipline in the same year, they started in Rwanda to provide medical supplies in rural areas in Africa. And since then, a lot happened. Nowadays, we see a lot of activities in China, in Africa, and the US. On the left-hand side on the slide, you see a pickup box. That's Meituan. And they deliver food in China via drones. And to make it easier to kind of route the drones, they use pickup kiosks. And there you can pick up your food within 12 minutes. We have Wing in the United States. They work together with DoorDash and, for example, Wendy's. And I have a video for you in a second where they deliver donuts and cakes and French fries. But then you also have markets like Norway, where you can order your stuff, and also in rural areas, stuff is delivered within 24 minutes. And we have the technology advancing, because the first ones I mentioned, they are delivering with small drones, but we have companies like Skyports. They offer a payload up to 150 kilogram and a range of 500 kilometers. And that will be a complete game changer. And this is the Wendy example. So, and that's DoorDash, and they do drone delivery. They pack it in a designed package for drones. Then they have their drone stations. Then they put the stuff that has to be delivered at the drone and fly it to the respected receiver. And one fun fact to Wing, because we always say, oh yeah, this is technology for younger people and probably all the young ones are using it. They have the Prime user, and it's an 84-year-old woman, and she ordered 1,200 drone deliveries since the service is online. And the service delivered 210 muffins and 93 cookies from a local bakery. So drone delivery is a thing we will see when it comes to all the different countries. And of course, it's possible, but it has its limits. And I picked the German example because especially regulations and surveillance and kind of keeping the air clean of little buzzing things is really important. But even in Germany, drone delivery is in theory possible. And on the picture in the middle, you see an experiment that was conducted last year. And they did a hybrid solution in Germany. It was called Liefermichel, and they had drones, and then for the last kilometer or 500 meters, a bike delivery, and showed that it's possible to deliver food and medication in Germany with drones. Economically, the whole thing is not profitable yet, because at the moment we need one pilot for one drone, and that's kind of a bad cost-benefit ratio. But in the future, they hope that one pilot can overview up to 10 drones, and then it gets even more attractive. And also we have now for Germany one example where the Federal Aviation Office gave a license to a B2B company for one route that is now officially a drone route for delivery. And those company, it's a small one, Korschulte, in the middle of Germany, they are expecting 20 routes in the future, in the near future. And so I would say also drone delivery is there. And I said facts and figures are, not as emotionally nice as videos, but probably more convincing. When we look at the data, drones can become competitive. It depends, of course, of the infrastructure and if it makes financial sense. When you look at the figures on the right-hand side, they are from McKinsey. Here we see that when one pilot can drive or observe more than one drone, the price and also the emissions will beat, of course, standard combustion engines, that's on the right-hand side, but also electric cars or electric vans. So let's see where we end up with drone delivery, but I convinced, as with the robots, it's here and it's not only coming. And let's see when we meet again in 5 years, which of those technologies really, hit the market. And now, far away from tech, it was just something that I stumbled across when I looked at the as a service categories. And I know, especially in this call with the international participants, it's always interesting to look beyond the own country and to see what others are doing and where trends are coming from. And as a service, of course, is also when I don't eat at home anymore, when I eat my food away from home. And here, I think it's really interesting also for our solutions and how we position ourselves is the question, where will we eat our food in the future and where is the money in the future? And I wanted to share those figures with you. There is a study that says that away from home has increased or will increase 8% and home-only food consumption only 3%. And from a German perspective, and Germany is on the right-hand side, I think this is really interesting because in Germany, apparently, most of the people consume their food at home. We have 36% of the expenditures for food at home and only 17 away from home. And when we look at the right-hand side at the US, the picture is completely different. Yeah, we have more than half of the expenditures in food away from home. And also in the UK, it's shifting towards we are not consuming at home anymore. And I think when we bear that in mind, that will have for the food industry and for retailers an immense impact. And I will end with my as a service chapter here and think we should think all together about which as a service areas are relevant for us, for the consumers and for our companies, and even more important, with which as a service areas can we make any money. And when we answer those two questions, I think we will have a lot of innovative ideas to kind of push further. In my last chapter, and I'm really sad to almost come to an end, is self-checkout. Paying, or even better, checkout as a service is omnipresent. It's always there. And we ask ourselves, no matter if we are food retail, if we are fashion, if we are perfumery, where we saw that there is no self-checkout anymore. Douglas is checking out by smartphone what's going on there and where will the future bring us. So self-checkout, really important topic, or checkout itself. And I wanted to start with a question. When was the first self-checkout tested? And you get extra points when you also know where, and feel free to answer in the chat. And I have to click here because then I see the chat. And I hope Munich to India. No, these are old answers. So where, and don't Google, just kind of type down what comes in your head. Poland? No. But yeah, Michael, no, it was not Poland. It's older, I can say, than 2003. Sorry, already Googled. So Nick, you are not allowed to answer. Sorry. Okay, good. Any other questions? Answers, but you can also ask questions. And I see David Mulhall, you raised your hand. Is it still up for a question, or oh no? You can ask me now because now we have a little break. No question. Japan, global 1995. No, it was Switzerland. You don't believe me? It was Switzerland. I was also impressed by the fact that it was Switzerland. Switzerland and Migros tested something in 1965. And now for the non-Germans, they called it Self-Tip Kassen. It's a lot of T's and P's and S's in one word. It means that you type by yourself at the cashier. And this solution was you took all your stuff in the store, you went to the cashier and you typed in everything by yourself. You got your receipt and then went to the lady at the cashier to pay. And that is, from my point of view, the first kind of self checkout. Apparently, it was a failure because I cannot remember that I had to kind of type in my amounts anytime in my life. But they tried, and they tried already in 65. So first one in 65. Where are we today? Those self-checkout solutions are especially popular with younger generations because they kill two birds with one stone. So we can reduce staff when we establish self-checkout opportunities, and at the same time we give the customer the opportunity to leave the store without any waiting time and also in a preferred speed. Because sometimes cashiers nowadays are so fast, yeah, that it's kind of overwhelming, and some of us prefer to go to a self-checkout that is easier. And now, oh, I'm sorry, here my slide was not updated, but I translate for you. On the left-hand side, you see data from the US, and the question was, when you have a self-checkout or a standard cashier, what do you prefer? And you see a clear age spread. Younger people, 18 to 24 years, they prefer self-checkout areas, and older people beyond 55, they prefer traditional cashiers. And when we look at Germany, it's also new data from 2023. They ask, where would you like to buy your groceries in the future? Green is in a supermarket with an SCO. Light blue is grab and go. Dark blue is internet, and purple is none of these. I interpret this as in a normal store without an SCO. And here you also see that the younger people, 16 to 29, prefer SCO solutions, and it decreases with age, and beyond 60 years, the population wants to have the standard as they know. I did not bring any more data, but of course I also learned from colleagues all over the world. And for example, in China, people don't like SCOs because they prefer interaction with a human being because it's an important cultural component. And so there are differences in perception, but nevertheless, the checkout and cashier as a service is a big topic, because the biggest friction in the market, and we have on both sides frictions, we have on the one hand side lack of staff, and on the other hand side, when we offer self checkouts, we increase inventory differences. And so the question is, where do we end up in the future? And we put together a system comparison and ask ourselves, who will be the winner, or is there a winner? And I think it's in the human DNA that we also always strive for the answer or the solution. Here I have a bad news, or kind of I share my opinion, and it could be bad news. I think there is not one system that will win. We will see hybrid solutions. We will see traditional cash registers with scan and go, with fixed installed SCOs. We will see increased numbers of smart trolleys, and it will be a combination, because as you see on this slide, and you will get all the slides afterwards, you don't have to read through all of this, but we try to describe it properly and also list the advantages and the disadvantages. There is no perfect solution. We could say that on the right-hand side, grab and go, that means a completely unmanned format without scanning, where the customers identifies themselves and pays via an app when the customer leaves the shop. That could be the alternative solutions. Also here, we have high investments, we have data issues, we have technological challenges, and of course, the potential for theft and fraud is still existing. So the question is, where will we end up? And what we like to do is look at the big ones. And in the last couple of weeks, Amazon has been a topic of conversation in this area. Because some sources in the internet said Amazon is not doing just walkout technology anymore. They kind of neglect it and they don't do it anymore. After implementing and testing this technology in the Amazon Go stores, they withdraw from the brick and mortar business themselves, but they will remain, in my opinion, a technology provider. And in addition, what they also realize, that just walkout technology is not the means of, kind of not solves the problems in any setup. And so they also combine it nowadays with a smart trolley. They call it dash carts, and they are increasingly relying on those smart shopping carts for retail businesses with that are bigger in size. And I think both technologies are good examples for the trade-off between feasibility and also affordability and return on invest. Because the question is, yes, we have those technologies, but where are we willing to invest and what will be successful? And I found one picture, and I think that is a really good example where we have the mix of solutions. We have self-checkout, we have dash lanes. We could think about a kind of a normal cashier as well. And so I think there will be a mix of possibilities for a long time until we are kind of so future ready that we get our stuff, as I said, for example, right in our veins. And technology plays a crucial role in these evolutions. And to end almost my presentation, I found an article from Forbes. Forbes asked in a title in December 2023, is there a self-checkout that customer loves? You can Google the headline and you will get the article, and the article says, yes, there is, it's RFID. The technology that will have the best cost-benefit ratio will win, in my opinion, and clearly RFID tags have a clear advantage for all the retail forms that can work with RFID tags, and we see solutions at Zara, at Uniqlo, at H&M, at Decathlon, and I think RFID, when I could bet on a technology at the moment, probably I would bet on RFID. It took a long time, but I think all of us know that it takes a long time, but there is kind of a sign that RFID could kind of end up as the winner. In 2001, a tag costed $1 US, and today we are less than 1 cent for an RFID tag. And in the future, and it's already possible, we can print RFID with polymer printing and alternative printing processes. And then each manufacturer can just print the tag on the respective product, or we can print it ourselves on the product. And then we will have the most secure and the easiest checkout even possible. But as said, it takes time. We are not there yet from a technology point of view. And as said in the beginning, I'm a psychologist, and a lot of people always ask me, can you look in my brain? And of course, the answer is no, I can't. And to be honest, I don't want to look in brains because that's a scaring thought. But sometimes I wish I could look in the future. Yeah. And I would like to end the presentation with one thing that I sometimes do to check trends, to check where the future could go to. And it's really simple. It's follow the money. And follow the money comes from my background in venture capital and in the startup world, because when you look where venture capital is investing and where startups are financed, that's quite helpful to get a feeling for where the music is playing. I don't know if you say that in English, but I like it. So you see where the money flows, and there could be innovation and opportunity. And so I end with the last question. Who knows who or what W23 is? And now you can unmute yourself and shout out your questions. And probably you are Googling already again. W23 is a venture capital fund of Ahold Delhaize, Tesco, Woolworth, ShopRite, and Empire. And it's quite impressive. They opened this venture capital fund, and they have huge ambitions, because the fund talks about that they're looking for entrepreneurs to solve problems that are currently not being adequately addressed. So they fund new ideas, startups, because there are problems out there. We are lacking solutions. And I think when we look at venture capital funds like W23, we will get a feeling what is interesting for the industry in the future. And my last example, just to show you where those 5 are investing in, it's Grey4Me. It's one of their latest investments, and it's a platform for orchestrating payment providers. Because payment, when we go back to the self-checkout cashier at Migros, pretty easy, cash. Probably 99% of those Swiss women and men had cash and paid with cash. Nowadays, payment is really complex. It's really widespread. We have different cards. We have Google Pay, Apple Pay. We have credit cards, debit cards. In Germany, we have still something, it's called EC card. Nobody knows. We have PayPal. We have unique national providers. And even in the stationary world, for example, in Munich, we have shops and restaurants, and then you have those signs on the outside, and they say cash only. The next one is saying cards only. The next one is saying you can do my dishes. No, just kidding. But it's extremely complex. And so I think it's really interesting that those four, as said, Alten Hayes, Tesco, Woolworths, ShopRite, and Empire, are investing in payment orchestration. So we will see what is going on in the future. And when you will follow our webinar in the next couple of years, I will tell you what will happen. And so I will end. I say thank you to all of you who listened to me. And really important for me, this was teamwork. So I talked today, but it was not me alone who was responsible for all the content. And at concerts, at the end, it's common practice to thank the crew. And I would like to thank my crew. And it's Peter on the call with Bernd Kast and Timo Pilhards from our shop fitting team. It's Bianca Sauter from our marketing team. We have Stephanie Jordan and Stephanie Weniger, who supported me with the content. And then our international subsidiaries, they gave me a huge support in creating the content and also giving the international perspective. I want to mention Mark Redford and Chris Sandy from the UK, Cassandra Heber from the US. I had input from Mohit Ayuha. He comes from the Middle East and is our branch manager there. Greg Padoa from Australia, Eric Lambal from China. He said, this is all not relevant for China, Claudia. China market is completely different. And I say, yeah, but okay, next time I will do a webinar only for China. I had support from the Nordics. A design colleague, Saskia Schubert-Iversen, gave me inspiration and input. And probably I forgot a lot of other people, but I just wanted to show you that it was not me alone. And so I would like to end our first Retail Experts at Wanzl webinar and now close the presentation so that I can see you. And, oh, Thomas Burkhardt kind of wanted to say something, but then stepped back. Ask you, is there anything you want to add, to ask me, to ask Peter? Or, no, I see smiling faces. That is great. Thank you, Thomas, for the smile. Thank you, Andreas, for the smile. And I don't see all of you. Thank you, Thierry. You are also smiling. I wish you a great Wednesday afternoon. I hope I reached my goal to inspire, to kind of broaden the view. And as said, and Peter, you can have the last words of the webinar. In the next version, it will take place in October. There will be less tech and more, I would say, emotions. Peter.
Well, we're still internally discussing the topic, but for sure it's more about staging. It could be also that I report about Japan because I'm leaving for Japan tomorrow for 3 weeks, and I definitely have planned a retail tour. So I will come back with hundreds and hundreds of pictures of good examples of retail. So we're still discussing what the next will be, but for sure we'll keep you updated. And we'll send out the invitations as early as possible so that you can plan it in your calendar. So thank you very much, even from my side, for participating. It's been a pleasure. And we're looking forward to welcome you again for the next webinar.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bonsoir. And all the
Bye,
other
thank
languages
you.
I cannot talk in. Hasta luego.